Let's begin tonight with breaking news. KCAL9 on storm watch as rain continues to soak the Southland.
Breaking news on election night 2022. The polls just closing here in California in a pivotal midterm election. On the ballot, local and state races, plus the balance of power in Washington, D.C., all up for grabs.
And of course, other breaking news, a billionaire has been made here. One ticket sold in Southern California is the winner in the $2 billion Powerball jackpot. Thank you so much for joining us on this election night. I'm Jeff Vaughn.
Hi, everyone. I'm Susie Suh. Powerball and elections coverage coming up. But first, breaking news. A rescuer lowered into the LA River tonight to try to save a man swept into the water. The rescuer came up empty-handed, though, but the search for that man continues. He was first spotted in the water in Boyle Heights, and we are keeping a close eye on this breaking story and the search for this man. And of course, we'll let you know if and when they find him.
Also weather related today, a swiftwater tragedy in Ontario. Tonight, one person is dead, 2 more are missing after 6 were swept into a wash. 3 of them were rescued. This happened on East 4th Street near North Virginia Avenue. And tonight, the search continues for those 2 missing people.
And this is just a few feet from our front door here in Studio City. The LA River is high and rushing tonight. And tonight, the heavy rain is raising fears of mud and debris flows in those burn areas. We have extensive Storm Watch team coverage for you tonight, beginning with meteorologist Evelyn Taft.
Susie, Jeff, as we get a look at satellite radar, it is still lit up across Southern California. As we stop the clock and show you exactly where the rain and the snow is right now, you will see snow showers blanketing most of our local resorts. We're also looking at showers through parts of Riverside County, Orange County, and LA County. Not as widespread and not as heavy as where we were earlier today, but the rain is still with us. We're also looking at thunderstorms passing off to our east at this point. So at this juncture, we are not looking at severe weather here in Southern California, but we could see a few cells pass through as we move into the overnight hours. We have watches and warnings. We're going to be addressing all of them coming up in just a little bit. It's the trifecta. We have the flash flood watch, of course, the risk of flash flooding, high wind warnings, and winter storm warnings throughout the night as well. Again, details on what to expect wind-wise, snow-wise, and rain-wise. But for now, send it back to you guys.
We'll continue with the weather here, Ev. Thank you so much. People living in Silverado, Majeska, and Williams Canyons in Orange County have been ordered now to leave for fear of debris flows and possible mudslides.
That's right. KCAL9 Orange County reporter Michelle Geely is live tonight in Silverado Canyon with the latest for us. Michelle.
Well, you guys, we have a bit of a break in the action. We haven't seen rain here since about 6:30, so about an hour and a half now. No major problems to report, but as you're about to see, as soon as a small problem crops up, public works crews are on it. This drainage culvert is one of the trouble spots in Silverado Canyon. As heavy rain fell this evening, Orange County Public Works crews moved to the location to clear mud and debris from the channel to prevent flooding.
Now that we're here tonight, you'll see continued showers throughout the evening. We'll have crews and equipment on standby here overnight here in Silverado Canyon. We don't anticipate significant problems, but you never know. As conditions change, we're ready for it.
After sunset, it was stormy and windy for several hours, which soaked the area that was already saturated. Mandatory evacuations were put in place in Silverado and nearby Majeska and Williams Canyons.
I was born and raised here. You're telling me we can't drive through? We got to get a ride from another residence?
Canyon residents were frustrated when they couldn't get home. Neighbors came to pick them up at the roadblocks.
No, my kid's gonna pick me up.
Some residents opted to stay away, but most remained in the canyon despite orders to leave. That's right. Those people specifically in the neighborhood right behind me here are keeping a close eye on the creek, that being Silverado Creek, as well as the mountains above them where the bonfire burned. I should say that last December, so just about a year ago, there were major mudslides here. A couple of people had to be rescued. So certainly tonight, everyone keeping all eyes on Mother Nature. That's the latest live in Silverado Canyon. I'm Michelle Geely. Back to you.
All right, Michelle, thank you. The parts of the foothills of the San Gabriel Valley remain under mandatory evacuation tonight after 2 days of heavy rain.
KCAL9's Joy Benedict is live in Duarte with a look at how the burn scars in that area are tonight holding up. Joy.
That's right, guys. I mean, we have such a love-hate relationship with rain here in Southern California, right? We love it. We need it because of the drought conditions, but it is so tough, especially if you live in the foothills. And that's what we have here in Duarte. You can see that Mel Canyon here behind me remains closed under a mandatory evacuation of about 25 homes because there is a burn scar up there in the hillside. But first, I want to show you what most of the evening commute looked like, as driving anywhere was tough. Take a look at this guy. He actually popped his tire right there on a curb because of street flooding, and he couldn't see. It's certainly a tough situation for him. That was in Studio City there in the valley, and visibility was certainly very, very poor, really all over the area, whether you were on the 101 or the 210 or wherever you were driving, as you saw that heavy downpour come and go throughout rush hour, clogging those roadways and just making it very hard to get around. Take a look at this video, though, here in Duarte, since that's what we've been watching here in the foothills. Thankfully, the rain was not as heavy here as we saw it in other parts of the Southland. And that's good news for them, because the concern is the burn scar from the fish fire that is right above this roadway here, and trying to make sure that that hillside stays where it's supposed to, and that's up on the hillside. But when we have those strong, heavy downpours that come in very, very quickly, that flash flooding, as we like to call it, that is what can cause the problem for the roadways. But talking to neighbors here on this street, they're all staying put. They're staying in their homes despite the mandatory evacuation. They say they have faith and they are going to ride it out.
I had been to the store a couple days ago, so I had everything, and I did move my car. My car is down, the neighbor's down the next street.
How was the rain today?
It's not so bad. It was suddenly strong for the past, 30 minutes? But it wasn't what we were expecting. Well, hopefully that's it.
Now, probably one of the reasons that so many of the people chose to stay here today is because they lived through this once before. We all remember the mudslides of about 6 years or so ago that really just brought that mud all the way down the hillside, damaging homes and getting in people's driveways. They lived through that, and they say, you know what? They are watching the sky. They are watching that hillside, but they're pretty sure with those K-rails that the city put in just a few days ago that they are going to be able to stay safe and stay in their homes. But again, it is a mandatory evacuation up here on Mel Canyon. Guys.
Okay, Joy, thank you so much. Let's go now live to KCAL9's Nicole Comstock in Glen Oaks in San Bernardino County, where evacuation orders there are also in effect.
Well, Nicole, how are the conditions out there?
Well, right here is where San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies are preventing people from continuing to travel up Oakland Road tonight. And just to the side of the roadblock here, you can see how much water is traveling downhill, even this far away from the burn scar. Now, tonight, several communities are under evacuation orders. Take a look at this video that we shot just about 30 minutes ago, a little ways up the road. Signs everywhere are warning of possible mud and debris flow from the El Dorado fire burn scar. Tonight, Oakland, Forest Falls, Mountain Home Village, Angeles Oaks, and Northeast Yucaipa are under evacuation orders. Take a look at this video. Here's mud flow near the Schoolhouse Museum in Oakland from this afternoon. Now, the owner of the Oakland Steakhouse and Saloon took that video. If you remember, his business was severely damaged by mud flow just about 2 months ago in a September storm. That same storm in this area triggered a mudslide behind a different home in Forest Falls that tragically killed a woman. That's why officials are urging people to leave now this time around. These here are some pictures from Caltrans. They closed State Route 38 earlier for rocks and debris in the road, then were able to clean it up and reopen it, but now part of that same route is closed once again due to flooding. They're seeing widespread issues, they say, all over the San Bernardino County mountains right now. Now, back out here live, we also spoke with a homeowner who lives not too far from us, maybe a mile or two up the road near Potato Canyon. He's also in one of those areas that had severe mud damage to several homes in the last storm in September. He says he's been checking the culvert behind his home on and off all night long. They just cleared it a short time ago. He says it's almost completely filled with mud again, and that things look like they're holding up in that area for now, but the intensity of the rainwater moving through that culvert, he says, is just incredible. So it sounds like A lot of people out here in these communities are trying to stay put and wait this storm out, but they know the dangers that it could bring later on tonight. Reporting live in Yucaipa, I'm Nicole Comstock, KCAL9 News.
Thank you, Nicole. And our live Storm Watch team coverage continues throughout the night on this very stormy night in Southern California.
But now we want to get to some developing news, and what news it is. We are on an instant billionaire winner watch, if you will.
Yeah, the only winning ticket, the only one in the $2 billion Powerball drawing sold right here in Southern California.
Just one in all of the world.
I know.
All right. Rachel Kim is live at Joe's Service Center in Altadena. Very happy place today where that winning ticket was purchased. And Rachel, one ticket was $2 billion. I guess the store owner also gets some money too,
like
right?
$1 million, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Susie and Jeff, it's really hard to imagine. That's a lot of zeros, right? But it is true. We're not talking millions anymore. We are talking billions with a B. Now, the new billionaire still hasn't come forward. And while we wait to see who it is, we do know there are other winners today.
I couldn't believe it. Even coming here, like seeing all the people lined up and everything, like it was just so surreal.
Danny Shahayed told us tonight he still can't believe his dad won $1 million for selling the winning Powerball ticket. The one ticket that hit all 6 numbers in this record-setting $2.04 billion drawing was sold at his shop, Joe's Service Center in Altadena. The 75-year-old business owner says he immigrated to the United States with his wife and 2 children at age 35 with little money.
All what I do, I work hard, 7 days a week. I raise my kids, graduate from the college. I bought a house and I bought a business. My main goal is to spend the money with my grandchildren. I have 11 grandchildren and my 5 kids, and I like to help them. Some of them do need help.
He's the epiphany of the American dream. You know, he came over here with nothing in his pocket, 2 kids, a wife, didn't speak any English, and then grew into this, what he has today. So kind of just gives me hope to like strive towards something like that as well.
The Shahayeds hope the big winner is from Altadena, a community they love. Right now, it's still a mystery as to who won the largest prize in U.S. lottery history.
The winner, once they come forward, which they have a year to do that, can opt to take the cash value, that lump sum, which is about $997 million, or they can take the annual payments over about 30 years. That'll add up to the $2 billion.
And it's so crazy. I was here last night, but I didn't play here.
You wish you had?
I wish I had. But whoever won, congratulations to them, and I hope they spend their money wisely.
And let's not forget, California public schools are winners too. A lot of officials say they get $156 million from this jackpot. So good news for our public schools out there. Susie and Jeff?
Wow, I just still can't fathom that $2 billion winner. Wasn't the only one cashing in from this drawing, I understand.
Oh, no. Rachel, tell us about the other SoCal winners. There are others, right?
Yeah, so in addition to the big winner who won the $2.04 billion, and of course Mr. Shahayed here, there are 3 other tickets who won too. They matched 5 out of the 6 numbers, and they won $1.1 million. Now, 2 of those tickets were sold here in the Southland, one in Gardena, one in Beaumont, the third in San Francisco. So the Southland, California wins. I just wish I won, but it's okay. There's always tomorrow, right, guys?
Always. That's right, Rachel. Thank you so much. Well, the big Powerball win, the stormy weather, all happening on election night right here in Southern California.
And of course, we have extensive election coverage coming up for you next here on KCAL9.
And still to come tonight, the dueling ballot props on sports betting.
Yeah, plus voters deciding whether the right to abortion and reproductive health care should be guaranteed in the state's constitution.
And then Congresswoman Karen Bass and developer Rick Caruso, who will be LA's next mayor.
And LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva trailing in the polls, just that one poll coming into today. Can he pull out a win and keep his job, or will Robert Luna become the new sheriff in town? And also, we are on storm watch tonight with large amounts of rain falling today. More rain on the way. Meteorologist Evelyn Taft will have the latest in just minutes. You're watching KCAL9 News at 8 on this very busy November 8th.
Padilla also has been reelected. And now to the race for LA mayor, Congresswoman Karen Bass against billionaire developer Rick Caruso. KCAL9's Jeff Nguyen is live at Caruso Election Night headquarters at the Grove.
And Leslie Marin is live at Bass Election Night headquarters at the Hollywood Palladium. Let's take these candidates alphabetically. Leslie, we'll start with you.
Good evening, Jeff and Susie. Well, I can tell you the party is well underway here at the Palladium. You can hear the mariachis behind me there. Mariachis Lindas Mexicanas taking the stage. We're expecting 800 people, possibly, if the rain doesn't deter some people away. They're expecting 800 people to show up today. I want to get to some video because Karen Bass is not here just yet, but I want to show you what she did earlier today. This was her alongside VP Kamala Harris, who stumped for her for a second day in a row today. Today, she was also alongside actress Kerry Washington as they spoke to some of those last-minute voters. But I do want to bring in Assembly Member Miguel Santiago here, who is in attendance tonight, and you will be speaking on the podium. When it comes to this mayoral race, what is your prediction by the end of the night?
Well, elections can't be bought. At the end of the day, voters are going to make the decision as to who the best candidate is, and we believe that's Karen Bass, someone who's going to lead Los Angeles.
You represent the Boyle Heights area. That's an area that both Caruso and Bass have spent a lot of time in speaking to voters. Do you feel like Karen Bass did enough to get the Latino vote?
Well, she was just there this weekend, so we invested heavily into our communities, and she's someone that connected with our communities, not just when she's running for mayor, but somebody that did it while she was in Congress and in the Assembly.
State Assembly Member Miguel Santiago, thank you so much for joining us. I did speak to the Bass campaign, and they tell me that they don't believe they'll learn a winner tonight. They don't expect Karen Bass to have a victory speech nor a concession speech. They expect to learn in a few days when all those mail-in ballots are then counted. Of course, we'll be here all night bringing you the very latest as that information comes in. For now, back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Leslie, thank you very much. And now to our Jeff Nguyen live with the Caruso campaign at the Grove in the Fairfax district. Jeff?
Susie and Jeff, good evening to you. Rick Caruso did walk into this giant party tent a few minutes ago. This tent sits at the top of the parking structure at the Grove. He did speak with reporters. We will have a snippet of that for you in just a sec, but first let's go ahead and take a look at this afternoon. Caruso went to Boyle Heights, the same spot that he voted for the primary election. Also, this is his family's origins story because it started in this neighborhood where his grandparents lived in an apartment after they immigrated here from Italy. He's been reaching out extensively to Latino voters leading up to tonight, running campaign ads in Spanish and doing interviews with Spanish media, while his opponent, Karen Bass, has been getting support from big names in the Democratic Party like former President Barack Obama and Vice President Kamala Harris. Having said that, he sounded very confident a few minutes ago talking about running to be the next mayor of Los Angeles.
I'm going to miss it, but I'm going to look forward to being mayor because my mayorship is going to be on the streets, not sitting in City Hall. That's where the action is, and that's where you can really make a difference, is listening to people, caring for people, embracing people, and letting them know there's hope.
The Caruso campaign says that it has about 400 paid workers who've been knocking on doors to get out the vote, and because of how close this race is, they say that mobilization is key. Now, he did say to us that he plans to speak to his supporters around 10 o'clock at night, even though he does not believe that we will get a final result or know who the winner is tonight. He will be introduced by his wife and daughter when he hits the podium around the 10 o'clock hour. That's the latest from the Grove. Jeff Nguyen, KCAL9 News will send it back to you.
Okay, Jeff, thank you so much. Well, we're 20 minutes after the polls closed here in California, and congressional races here in Southern California could help determine the balance of power in Washington, D.C.
That's right. We're still waiting for local results, but national results are already coming in. KCAL9 political reporter Tom Wade is here now. The balance of power in Congress.
The balance of power, indeed.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for these results to come in. Lots of very, very close races right now that we're tracking. So let's get to some of those results. All right. Polls are now closed in all the battleground states that we've been watching tonight. So let's start with the latest on the balance of power in the House. So all 435 seats are in play tonight. Here's where things stand right now, according to CBS News. Take a look at our map. The party needs to win at least 218 seats. So we've got 180 right now Democratic held seats, with Republicans holding 198. With no independents right now, we are tracking all of those races. All right, so now the U.S. Senate. 35 seats are on the line. Republicans need a net gain of just 1 seat to take control, but that might be a challenge. We'll see. Here's the latest results from CBS News. Let's take a look at the Senate race here. First, this is in the New Hampshire, I believe. 55% for Maggie Hassan, 43% for Don Bolduc, and that is a big win for the Democrats. There was some question there. If this holds with 50% of the vote coming in, if this holds, this would be a big win for the Democrats because we have a race that was very close there, according to the polls there. All right, so next, let's begin with some other breaking news in our next slide here in the next race for Senate. Okay, so CBS News did predict that election would be won by Maggie Hassan. All righty, let's go to the next one. We're getting some fresh new numbers from Arizona. And this is a state we have incumbent Democrat Mark Kelly up against Republican Blake Masters, endorsed by former President Trump. Here we have some of the results there, with about 51% of the vote counted, 58% going to Mark Kelly, 39% to Blake Masters. This was also polling very close, so we should watch these results come in. I expect this to tighten up pretty close. Masters is someone who embraced the false claim that the 2020 election was stolen. Of course, it was not. A new law in Arizona automatically triggers a recount if the race was within a half point. If that happens, the final results would not come until December. So let's hope that doesn't happen. All right, in the Pennsylvania Senate race, an open seat currently held by a Republican. That seat now being given up. GOP candidate Mehmet Oz versus John Fetterman. He's the lieutenant governor of that state. Take a look there, 49.3 to 48.3. Very close there. I was just checking out some of the votes where some of the votes are outstanding. A lot of votes still outstanding in very blue areas of Pennsylvania. 73% of the vote counted there. This was expected to be very close, but it does look like for now that John Fetterman is holding onto his seat or his vote total there. If that flipped, that would be huge for the Democrats. It would give them a slight edge and perhaps holding on to the Senate. We'll see how that plays out. All right, in Georgia, a Democrat, Raphael Warnock, he's trying to hold on to his seat that he won 2 years ago in a special election versus GOP challenger Herschel Walker. That's the current situation right now, 48.5% versus 49.5%. You might have heard about this race, very high-profile race. Herschel Walker accused of providing secret abortion payments to mistresses or women in his life. These allegations have been repeatedly denied by Walker. This is interesting because if this holds and one of these two gentlemen does not get to the 50% mark, we go to a runoff. You might remember that happened back in 2020 when Warnock and John Ossoff both won their respective special election races there. All right, so we're watching multiple close races throughout the night. We'll keep them updated for you. But for now, let's send it back to you. Susie and Jeff. So
Tom Waite.
Very close.
Yeah, no kidding. Tom Waite on top of the House and Senate races tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Tom's going to let us know as soon as they have more updates. We'll come back with you for that breaking election results when we need it.
I will not be far.
You bet.
All right, thank you. And breaking news as we head to break, here are the numbers tonight. CBS News projecting Gavin Newsom re-elected as governor for a second term. He has focused re-election campaign largely outside of California. And when he won the position in 2018, well, he won with the largest margin of victory in more than a century. Our coverage continues right after the break.
Exactly where we're seeing it. So right here, we're seeing snow over parts of Big Bear. Closer to Fraser Park as snow levels start to lower down to 4,000 feet this evening. As we get a closer look at Fraser Park, take a look. We're starting to see snow across parts of the Tejon Pass. So we're going to continue to monitor conditions for you tonight. We could see up to 20 inches above 6,000 feet. Back to you.
Election 2022, voters decide. Our coverage resumes right after the break with live reports on the LA County Sheriff's race.
Plus the propositions, gambling, abortion, the environment, tobacco. It's all on the ballot.
So is the balance of power in Congress. The very latest results straight ahead. Coming to you live from the CBS Broadcast Center in Studio City.
Welcome back to KCAL9's coverage of Election 2022, Voters Decide. I'm Jeff Vaughn.
Hi, everyone. I'm Susie Sa, and we are getting some results in right now. CBS News projecting Gavin Newsom re-elected as governor, with Democrats holding a 2-to-1 voter registration advantage over Republicans here in California. Newsom was expected to cruise to a re-election, 61% against 39% for Brian Daly.
And this stays with the Democrats. CBS News also projecting that Alex Padilla has won the race to finish out the term vacated by Kamala Harris when she became vice president. Now, CBS News also projecting that Padilla has won the race for the 6-year term. So there's 2 races. He's won in both of those. Padilla, the former Secretary of State for the state of California.
And the race for LA Mayor Karen Bass and Rick Caruso. Karen Bass would be the first woman to be mayor of LA, would be the first black woman to be mayor of LA, and she is now serving her 6th term in Congress. And as for Rick Caruso, he is the real estate developer and businessman, says he is a better change agent and not the existing leadership.
That's right. Now let's go to that heated and hostile at times race for LA County Sheriff. Incumbent Sheriff Alex Villanueva is being challenged by former Long Beach Police Chief Robert Luna. Let's take a look at the numbers there. As of course Nope, we don't have any numbers. The polls closed at 8. When we get those numbers, we'll continue to bring those to you here on KCAL9.
That's right. But for now, our Ross Palumbo is with the Villanueva campaign in Montebello tonight.
And Jasmine Veal is with the Luna campaign in Long Beach. Jasmine, we'll start with you.
Okay, yeah, let's start here because, I mean, look at this crowd. This is way bigger than the election night party he had back in the primaries in his backyard. Now we have a room here at the Grand packed with hundreds of his supporters, well underway here, waiting for those first results to come in any minute now. This is a city where Robert Luna was police chief for 7 years, and he is going to wrap up his first ever campaign tonight. And he told us a while ago, just a few hours ago, as this was getting underway when they were setting up, that he is so confident he's going to win tonight. But let's show you just earlier, Luna dropping off his ballot. Okay, so cheers. Now, let's show you the screen, actually, before we get to that video, because, like I said, those first results coming in, these are the vote-by-mail ballots that were sent in prior to Election Day. So first results, and Luna there, just over 60% of the vote. Villanueva below at over 30%. So, okay, so a long night still to go here. But like I said, the video earlier showing Luna dropping off his ballot there on Studebaker Road. His wife by his side. He's hoping really to carry out that rare feat of ousting an incumbent sheriff, trying to do the same thing Alex Villanueva did back in 2018. He's done 11 months of campaigning, running for political office for the first time ever. He says he's eager to see this come to an end. He wants to get to work as the new sheriff. Being an outsider, he says, is the change the department needs. Take a listen to what he told us.
I think it's going to make a significant difference, and I believe it's going to be the difference, because it has been very clear to me, going again through the entire county, listening to our residents, that they want change.
Okay, back out here live. Yes, a packed house, a full room of all Robert Luna supporters here. Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia is also here. He is in the race for California's new congressional 42nd district, so he's here as well, which is maybe why we are just extra crowded tonight. But the excitement really is building, and we already heard the first round of cheers. Live here in Long Beach, Jasmine Veal, KCAL9 News.
Well, with that, of course, you can take a look at the bottom part of your screen there. We have all those election results as the polls closed just about a half hour ago. Now let's go to Ross Palumbo live with the Sheriff Alex Villanueva campaign in Montebello. Ross.
Well, Jeff, we are just waiting now for those numbers to come in, and the excitement is building. Take a look at this. Sheriff Alex Villanueva arriving here to his election party just a few minutes ago. He was greeted by cheering crowds as soon as he walked in the door. He immediately then, look at this, walked up to the podium and addressed the crowd. He sounded very optimistic, despite his campaign manager telling me earlier today that he was, quote, sick at the coverage the sheriff has been getting over the past few weeks. The sheriff himself, though, sounding very optimistic. In fact, I spoke with him just a few moments ago. Take a listen.
And this is one of those things, now it's election season, not election night. So we may not even know the result, but let's see what's happening throughout the county. Let's see how our voters doing. I think, are we closed yet?
All right, back out here live. The crowd is pretty much ventured outside of the patio because the weather's lighting up a little bit, but there's still supporters that are standing inside. The screens haven't even been turned on yet because we're waiting for those numbers to come in. But I can tell you, Susie and Jeff, that they are optimistic despite that poll. The sheriff telling me earlier that he really believes there was a serious flaw in that. He doesn't believe those numbers, and tonight he believes he's walking out here with a second term. Interestingly, I asked him what he would do on his first day of the second term, and he said he would be sitting down with the Board of Supervisors and trying to work things out moving forward, something that has plagued him for the last 4 years. As soon as we get any more numbers, we'll get them out to you. For now, though, it's very latest live from Montebello. Jeff, Susie, back to you.
Okay, Ross, thank you so much. We do have some breaking news here. This is going to be the first look at the race for LA mayor. The first numbers just coming in. This is the vote by mail. As you might remember, as we take a look there, 51% for Karen Bass, 49% for Rick Caruso. Now, they received 43% of the primary vote. Karen Bass did during the primary election, and Rick Caruso received 36% of the primary vote. The latest poll shows basically what you see there. Bass 45%, Caruso 41%, with just about 13% of the people undecided. 85% of those vote by mail ballots will come through LA. These are the ballots that came in before today, with about 10% they predict, Susie, to come today at the polls in person.
And Mayor Eric Garcetti is now termed out. This has been the most expensive mayor's race in Los Angeles history, by the way.
Yeah, Caruso spent $100 million in just his side.
That's right,
Yeah.
10 times more than Karen Bass.
Isn't that right? It's almost a presidential election.
No kidding.
Yeah. Well, numbers are coming in on the races for Congress as well. That could help determine the balance of power in D.C.
Well, House Race 27 in Santa Clarita, Lancaster on Palmdale. Incumbent Republican Mike Garcia right now with 46% of the vote. After this district was redrawn, the district lines were redrawn, it is more now tilting Democratic. Certainly good news for Christy Smith with 54% of the vote tonight. In 2020, by the way, Garcia beat Smith by a mere 333 votes.
And by the way, that's the third time I think that they have run that race between those three. Let's go to House District number 45. Very contentious campaign between Republican incumbent Michelle Steele and Democrat Jay Chen. This district covers parts of Orange, LA counties, includes Fullerton, Westminster, Fountain Valley. You take a look there. The challenger, that is Jay Chen. Total votes in about 48,000, 51%. Of course, this is going to be too close to call. 49% to Michelle Steele. This is really one of those situations where Michelle Steele, being first term, one of the first Korean American women to serve in Congress, who's being challenged by Jay Chen.
And in House Race 47, it features incumbent Democrat Katie Porter, famous for her whiteboard, and Republican challenger Scott Baugh, who is a former head of the Orange County Republican Party. Now, this district has a small Democratic advantage, but redistricting has brought in more conservative voters now, so we shall soon see what the results are tonight. This area covers Huntington Beach, Irvine, and Laguna Beach.
Let's go to House Race 49. This is going to be incumbent Mike Levin, challenger Republican Brian Marriott. This is a rematch of the 2020 race. The 49th includes Laguna de Gale, San Clemente, Oceanside. As you take a look at those numbers there, Mike Levin is coming in with 52%, 48%. This is for the 49th district. Of course, this is also just the vote by mail numbers that we're seeing at this point in time, the very first numbers that we're seeing in the U.S. House race for the 49th district.
And now to District 41. This used to be a safe seat for the GOP, but redistricting changed this one safe seat for the GOP into a battleground now. It includes Corona, Menifee, and Palm Springs. Incumbent Ken Calvert, the longest-serving Republican in California's delegation in congressional history. He was first elected to Congress in 1992. He served nearly 30 years in the district, being challenged by Will Rawlins, a former federal prosecutor who calls Calvert an extremist. Will Rawlins leading tonight with 57% of the vote.
Let's go to District 41, Republican incumbent Young Kim versus Democrat Dr. Asif Mahmood. Asif Mahmood is a medical doctor, serves on the California Medical Board. You take a look at the numbers there, 48% for him. And the incumbent there is Young Kim, small business owner, first Korean American Republican to serve in the state assembly. And she raised $8.4 million in this race that she is now leading, 52 to 48%.
And in the race for LA County Sheriff, we're just getting these numbers in. This is the first dump that we're seeing of the vote results tonight. 63% for Luna and 37% for Sheriff Alex Villanueva. Coming up next, meteorologist Evelyn Taft is back with the latest on this big storm hitting Southern California. You're watching KCAL9 News at 8.
Election 2022, voters decide. Our coverage continues right after the break with a look at the props, all on the ballot tonight.
Abortion, the environment, tobacco, and sports betting, all on the ballot.
And we're also getting those brand new results in our panel of political experts here to help us break down those results that we're seeing so far and do a deep dive in the races for LA Mayor and for Sheriff. They'll join us next here on KCAL9. Race. Let's go to the LA Mayor's race as we take a look at those numbers here. Now, this is 51% right now with Karen Bass in the lead over developer billionaire Rick Caruso at 49%. And also, let's take a look at the LA County Sheriff. These are the latest numbers that have just come in. Robert Luna, the challenger, is leading 63% to 37% over the incumbent current Sheriff Alex Villanueva. About 500,000 for Luna and just about 300,000 votes for Sheriff Alex Villanueva. Many big races, of course, on the ballot tonight with big implications for the future of LA, Southern California, and of course the country. I'm joined now by our panel of experts to break down all the races. We have Jessica Levinson, Loyola Law Professor, Sarah Sadwani, Professor of Politics at Pomona College and a member of California's Citizens Redistricting Commission, and Zev Yaroslavsky, former LA County Supervisor, City Council member, and current Director of the Los Angeles Initiative at the UCLA Luskin School of Public Affairs. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Let's bring up those numbers if we can. Let's start with the mayoral race here. This is interesting. We have just out here, just a few minutes ago, these are the latest numbers. Let's start with you, Zev. 51% for Karen and 49% for Rick. What's your take on this so far?
Well, I think we all thought it was going to be a close race. The polls showed that it was going to be a close race. We have a close race. How about that? Not clear where these votes came from, and we can't know because of the new system of voting. But what we do know is that it's an older electorate, a Democratic electorate. The younger people are going to tend to vote late, and those votes will not be counted until later this week. So I don't want to jump to any conclusions because it's too close to call, but I think this is good news for Karen Bass going, at this point in the evening.
Yeah, it's probably too soon to call, but Sarah, you think that this is a little bit of momentum that Karen Bass could maybe bathe in a little bit here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this time in the primary stage, actually, Rick Caruso was the one that was leading the charge at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And many of us thought, okay, wow, he's the front runner here. And of course, as more of those ballots came in over the following weeks, Karen Bass was able to pick up that momentum. So here we see her already coming out of the blocks in a strong position. She has been in the leadership position throughout most of this race, though in the last month, of course, the Caruso has been closing that gap. One of the things that I'll be looking for is the Latino vote. Of course, many of the folks from East LA, Boyle Heights Latinos supported Kevin De Leon at the primary stage. Where will they go at this point? And of course, Latinos in the Valley, very different. And I think this race is really going to come down to the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah. Well, Jessica, let's talk a little bit about the primary. Karen Bass received 43%. And then Caruso received 36%. Pretty big difference tonight. It's neck and neck at this point in time. What do you make of the difference and the time that has come and Caruso may be making the difference here a little bit?
So I wish I could say, oh, I'm so smart, I predicted this. But the truth is, I did not at all.
Oh, you did.
After the primary, I thought, okay, she's going to run away with this because she was so heavily outspent. That electorate was better for him than it was for her. And I thought, okay, well, if these are the numbers, then she's going to do really well in the general. It's closer. And I think we saw the race tighten over the last few weeks. And I think that it's the normal tightening. And let's be honest, the amount of money that Caruso was able to pour into that race, it was basically unlimited. I think it was $93 million. That buys a lot of airtime and eartime for voters. So what do we make of it? People always say, oh, there's a certain point where the money's just going to turn voters off. But we see candidates, I think if he hadn't spent that money, the night would be over for Karen Bass.
There's one thing I want to add to this on the Caruso side. These were vote by mail ballots, which were predominantly Democrat. The people who voted today in the voting centers will be disproportionately Republican. So this could change in his favor before the evening is out.
Getting some information that we're waiting for Governor Newsom to speak. Of course, he won early tonight. That came in very quickly. If that happens, we'll go to that live here on KCAL9. There he is. That's the governor who has won for re-election. Let's listen in to Governor Gavin Newsom.
I hope we turn the page on, this polarization in our national discourse. Once the dust settles with all of these national elections, we can all start to reconcile those differences and all start to focus on these universal values, this journey for recognition, this dignity deficit that some have described this moment, where people don't feel they're being seen and don't feel they're being heard. We all have a responsibility to do a little bit more to meet people where they are and to dig a little deeper in terms of building other people up. And that's my commitment to the people of the state of California this evening, with the spirit of my family beside me, looking at this larger family, California, where the future, we say proudly, happens first. Thank you very much, California. Thank you, everybody.
And back here live, really no surprise, Governor Newsom declaring victory. Didn't take long. Of course, he had a wide margin in the polling anyway, so Governor Gavin Newsom is reelected. Let's go back to the race for LA mayor. Sarah, let's talk about the vote by mail. Yeah. This is really interesting. 85% of the vote by mail in LA, only 10% going to the polls today. Did that help at all one candidate over the other? And was a lot of money spent late wasted because so much of the vote by mail was handed in early?
Well, the vote by mail is a new system really for us here in California. So I think a lot of voters are still getting used to it. As Zev had mentioned, a lot of those early voters are going to tend to be Democrats, tend to be people that are probably going to be Bass supporters. We can anticipate that we'll have more Republicans coming out today. But at the same time, this is still a new system. We're still trying to work out the kinks here. We don't have a lot of data points to really understand the ongoing trends of this new system and with this greater accessibility for voting.
It's interesting, Jessica. I don't think I've seen this so much. We have a lot of celebrities here in LA, of course, but I saw some celebrities come out for Caruso that I didn't think that I'd see before. Katy Perry just put that she voted for Caruso and put it on her Instagram page. 176 million people saw that. Is that something new that has come about in this Caruso campaign that we haven't seen before? Or am I just not seeing this before?
No, so I don't think with respect to this level of social media, but of course celebrity endorsements have been an issue for a long time. It's funny, I'm laughing a little bit because some of the Caruso endorsements that came out very late, a number of people said, okay, well that's it, I'm going Karen Bass.
Oh,
so
really?
it really can go both ways.
Sure.
And I do frankly always have the question of somebody who becomes famous for singing or acting, how much does that really sway voters in the sense of explaining to them, this person will make your daily life better on the economy, on criminal justice, for your kids' education. So I think the celebrity endorsement's a little bit of a mixed bag.
I think we're going to move on. I appreciate that because I think it goes both ways. As you mentioned, both Democrats and Republicans court the celebrities, and it kind of sometimes backfires. I think we're going to move on to more news at this point in time. We're going to move on to the sheriff's race. If that's the case, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back here on KCAL9. I'd like to have their leaders explore the idea of seceding from California. Many residents there feel that they're not represented by the one-party system in California. There you see the yes, 50%, the no's, 50%, with just those first numbers coming in. Let's go to Ventura County. Residents of Port Hueneme voted on whether to change the name of their town to Hueneme Beach. City leaders believe that this will bring more tourism to the city, and the no vote is running away with it, 68%. Now to Long Beach, people are electing a new mayor there. The race is between Susie Price and Rex Richardson. You see the numbers there, 55% for Rex Richardson and 45% for Susie Price, as those numbers are just trickling in as we're just about an hour after the polls closed. Plenty more election night coverage here on KCAL9 at 9 o'clock. Pat Harvey will join me. Our panel of experts will be back as well. We'll, of course, have live reports from campaign headquarters all across Southern California.
Get CBS News Los Angeles on the CBS News app. Download now.
Got your phone handy? Of course you do. Scan this right here. Download the CBS LA app. And just like that, you're connected to all the best local news and videos. Now, if only everything were this easy.